Day 5, 6, 7, 8 here on the plasma table build. We are cruising right along. Got the gantry just barely tacked together and rolling on the cold rolled steel, which I'm still really excited about. Here you guys take it for a little ride. Not too shabby, right? So today we're going to work some more on the gantry, see if we can't get it knocked out. I'm not sure exactly how much we're going to get done, but the next step is... got to die grind out this area right here so that this tube will slide into it, and then we've got to drill and tap this whole tube here for this piece of aluminum rail. We're going to screw this piece onto this top cross member right here. Which means 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 54 fucking holes. Really? Golly, do we need all these holes? I don't know. But I guess I'm gonna do them. We gotta come up with a good strategy for laying these suckers out here. Oh, because it's gonna be a bear. If you've ever transferred holes, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, next order of business after that gets done will be to weld this assembly together and get this dropped back in this hole right here is where it actually goes. And we got to cut this a little bit shorter because I think it's too long. But I want to go ahead and get the V-rail. Then we will weld. And if we have time, we will start putting this gear rack together. Pretty sure it's rack and pinion. I get it mixed up. Anyways, but the rack sits right underneath here on this cold rolled steel rail, and that's what actually engages with the motors and will drive this assembly up and down the table. So these obviously aren't long enough. We're gonna have to weld them together, and since he gave me this little tiny piece here I haven't measured yet, I'm guessing we're gonna have to do some splicing and some all-around fuckery to get this thing to work. But that's part of having a DIY kit. Ultimately, this is what we're after. This is the entire gantry assembly with the motors and I think they call this the Y-axis, the X-axis, as well as the Z-axis, which is the height control right here. But this print right here is a little busy, so right now I step back to this pared down simplified version for now. And here is this rail. That's this piece right here, and it's already sitting on top of this tube. Here's the top view, and this tube right here is that piece. So this tube gets that piece of V-rail mounted to the front of it all along here. So what I did, set the tube up on the gantry, came back, got it centered, marked a center line here. Gonna go ahead and mark this. So we have a nice clean straight line here. Go ahead and even wrap this corner all the way around here. We need to do the same here for this V-rail that sits on top or on the front. Oh, of course it's a 16th. So we got 7 foot O and 7/16. That means we're going to be at 3 foot 6 and 7/32, which my tape doesn't go to 30 seconds, but I'm just going to have to go ahead and mark it as close as I can. Just have to split the difference between 2/16, I guess. So we got our 3'6" and 7/16 here. 7/32. So that'd be 2, 4, 6, 7/32. Right about there. I'm gonna call that my center. Good trick here for finding center is always check from the other side. So just go ahead and flip your tape around, and where were we? 3'6" and 7/32. So we're more like a solid quarter, but because I don't have 30 seconds, that's gonna have to do. And tuck the camera in my pants here. Now we have the cock-mounted GoPro shot. Everybody always loves, but somehow it's the best way to show you guys what I got, because I don't have a head mount. Right about there is gonna be our center line. We got our center line on our tube and our center line. Oh man, what a mess. Yeah, so this isn't even, just have to fucking eyeball this or what? Centered. Alright, so next order of business. See, if I just try and eyeball all these and like poke this Sharpie down in here and, you know, just pin each one of these, that sounds like a good idea from the get-go, but in all actuality, I'm not going to eyeball center very well, so I need to figure something else out here. And what I think I'm going to do is a good way to get a center-to-center dimension is actually measure from the outside of one hole to the inside of the next hole. And because you're going from this side to this side, you end up getting the center-to-center dimension, the distance between these two fixed points. Because as you can see here, if you're trying to perfectly find the center of that hole, you're going to have a really hard time eyeballing it, and then especially eyeballing it repeatedly over and over as you go and work your way down this run. So what I'm going to do is, you guys can't really see down inside of there as well as I can probably, but there's actually two holes. There's this top hole and there's a second hole down inside of there. And I'm burning 1 inch because if you notice, this end of the tape actually moves just a little tiny bit. And this is a push-pull tape that's engineered. It's by design. That's not an accident. You do not need to smush these pins down or weld this together to keep it from moving. Because what's this designed to do is to compensate for the thickness of this blade right here. So when you butt it up, it pushes in and you get a true zero measurement. And then when you pull it, it pulls out just a hair, only the width of this blade, and then you have the same exact 0 point on this side. So push-pull tape, do not fuck with that. You'll screw yourself over. You'll need to buy new tape. So because of this little wiggly end here, if you're trying to get an exact measurement, you don't have calipers like me, you really just burn 1 inch and you use that hash line in there to line up as good as you can with whatever you're starting from. So 1 becomes 0. I'm burning 1 inch, and it reads 4 1/8 on the tape, center to center. But since I'm burning 1 inch, we need to subtract that. So I got 3 1/8 is my distance, center to center of these holes. So this could be metric. This was probably not manufactured in the United States, so it probably is metric. So my 3 1/8, I'm not even sure if that's a good measurement. So how do we check that, right? And we check it with a little bit of math. So what we do here is we count the number of spaces. This is 0. And we count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. All right, so we got 26 pieces. All right, 26 times 3.125. And we get 81.25. So that's 3 1/8 is 0.125 times 26 sections. So we're going to measure center to center now. From the first hole to the last hole should be 81 1/4 inches if our measurement's good. We were at 81 1/4, right? All right, so I got that 81 1/4. Ooh, actually, we burned an inch, right? So we need to do 82 1/4. And that, if you can see, is lined up 82 1/4 on that inside hole right there. So if we did our math right and we're good, we should be at 1 inch this side of the hole. And we are not. So that means my math is no good. All right, how far are we off? Maybe that's another way to slice this pie here. We are, this would be our 0. We are 5/8 off of our mark. So if I went ahead and split that 5/8 up by our 26 sections, you know, then we get down into like, I don't know, thousandths, something like that. That's some machinist shit right there, above my pay grade. It may just be the eyeball it and stab it method, unfortunately, because I don't really have a better method of doing this. So let's see how good we can get here. No, that's off.
The water bed is gonna be on.
Oh, don't grab that. I started down on that end and I was trying to like line up here and perfectly mark the center of all these, and it just really was not working at all. So what I ended up doing is I basically just broke this down into an X coordinate and a Y coordinate, right? So I extrapolated my hole centers, top and bottom, transferred them down to the steel right here, those two crow's feet. And then what I did is, instead of trying to mark the center, I just went ahead and marked the very top of the hole. See how I'm up at the top of the hole and not down here in the center? Because it's a lot easier to find that top of the hole where it's the center. Basically, wherever it stops going up and it's not quite yet going down, you know, that's your center. And also having 2 points, boom, boom. Now when I come through here and mark these centers, I will actually have an average between these two lines, or these two dots in here. There we go. All right, so now you see I got my 2 dots. So I'm gonna go ahead and scribe this down through here on all these. So now we're going to go ahead and set our X points all the way down. And to do that, one nice little way to do it is go ahead and use this portion of your combination square as a backstop. And you just line up the ruler with your crow's foot. Now I can just go down through here. Boom. Boom, 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 boom. Alrighty here, so we got 3x3 tube, 1x3 tube, center V-rail, and tap 5/16 by 24 thread per inch. Why the fuck would he change that right in the middle? See, this is the kind of stuff that really gets me. We already had to tap some 5/16 by 18 thread per inch on this project. Now we have to drill or tap some 5/16 by 24 thread per inch, which may not sound like a big deal, but that means that I need a different size tap that I don't have. And it's Sunday, and I live in a small town, which means I might have a hard time finding one of these fucking taps. Alright, let's go to the store. I had to go to 3 different stores in order to find this on a Sunday. Lowe's didn't have it, Tractor Supply didn't have it, and I finally ended up at Ace, which, thank God for Ace. They're like the last legit old school hardware store that's around anymore. But they had exactly what I needed. Here's a 5/16 by 24 thread per inch tap, and there's a weird thing with some of these taps. The drill bit has to be the exact correct size, otherwise it won't work. We already hacked the other size hole that we had to drill here because I had a 1/4 inch drill bit that was just barely a little bit too small, like in the thousandths too small. So the 1/4 inch worked as a hack, but this one I didn't really have anything that close for this size hole, and I forget what it is nominally, but it's a letter I, you know, drill I. And they had it in a little drawer at Ace, so I only had to buy 1 and 1 instead of a whole kit. I was getting desperate there, so let's go ahead, get this stuff loaded back up, get our safety glasses back on here, and we'll start drilling some holes. In order to tap the holes, we're going to need our 5/16 by 24 thread per inch instead of the 18 thread per inch. And some people like to load these taps up into their drill, which you can do, and it speeds things up a little bit, but I've broken way too many taps doing it that way, and I feel like I've learned my lesson. Tapped. Glad we got that knocked out. I hate tapping holes. I don't know why. It's just super tedious and mind-numbingly slow. Not my cup of tea. Anyways, now that we got these tapped, I'm not going to mount the V-rail on here quite yet, or not all the way. I'm not going to bolt it up, but I'm just going to throw it on here and see how it fits for right now. Because I still need to slide this tube in there before I actually mount this. But I just want to check and make sure that our holes are somewhat in the right ballpark here. See, these are kind of a mess, man. So I really don't love doing this the way that we did it. And fuck, man. Not super excited with this. That's really part of kind of the whole DIY thing, is sometimes you fuck yourself. And this is one of those times. Oh, jeez. Anyways, I'm gonna keep cruising. We're gonna go ahead and do some die grinding here. This hole is not quite big enough to fit the tube, and this is gonna be our weapon of destruction, the nice die grinder. And I don't talk about safety too much out here, but this one is particularly nasty. There's no guard or anything around here, and the slivers it puts off are exactly that, slivers. It doesn't put off little fine dust like the chop saw or dross or slag like the weld. This just straight up puts off little tiny perfect metal splinters that will ruin your day in a big way. So wear your safety glasses, hearing protection, gloves for sure, and face shield's not even a bad idea in this situation, because these things can get everywhere. You may be wondering what all this orange goop is. Crusty stuff all over the die grinder, and the truth is, it's pumpkin guts. We just had Halloween here, and this is one of my favorite things to carve pumpkins with. It just cuts right through it, man. The only problem is it makes a huge mess. That clamp right there is not actually tight. It's just sitting there hanging open like this to hold that tube up to the right elevation. So that way I can knock it in from here on this side. Well, it's an extra hand. Hold it for me over there. Okay, I think it's just barely started right now. Let's see if I can hit it from the other end. Booyah! Alright, this piece is cut just a hair long, and by a hair I mean less than a 16th. So instead of pulling out a power tool like a grinder or even a die grinder, something like that, all we're going to need really is a file, because this aluminum is so soft, file tears through it pretty quick. A power tool would tear through it even quicker, and I have a tendency to take a little bit too much material on aluminum when I use power tools, so file it is. Also, this file is a bastard file, by the way, my favorite, and it is only used for aluminum. That's it. I don't use this for stainless, I don't use it for mild steel, I don't use it for anything other than aluminum. And that way I don't introduce any ferrous metal flakes into this aluminum finish surface here. And that, my friends, is the beauty of sneaking up on it with the file. There's no bolts in it whatsoever, and it's just holding itself, just a little bit of friction just wedged in there. I say we start welding this sucker out. I can't really think of anything else we'll need to do. So let me get set up for that, and I'll show you guys a few things you're gonna need to weld this thing out. Next step here is to weld this sucker out. went ahead and cut this guy loose. We were just using him to hold us all square here as we kind of worked everything out. Now, the really important thing is that this is square with this. So let's go ahead and make sure that we stayed square. Our little temporary piece. And it did not really get much better than that for square. I'm gonna call it good. So this side, I'm comfortable locking it down. That side we'll have to square up when we get over there. But if you notice, I've got this black blanket right here, cloth, and this is fire blanket. If you're gonna be welding at your house, on a car, in the field, inside, outside, there's always gonna be something that can't catch fire or you don't wanna get messed up from welding. And the thing that we don't want to mess up is, number one, this cold rolled steel rail that we spent all that time drilling and tapping out and getting lined up and square with the rest of the table. So that's covered. That way we won't get any berries or whatnot on there. And also, I've got these bearings back inside of here that run on the cold rolled steel rail. So instead of pulling this all apart and taking it off the table, if you have some fire blanket, all you got to do, throw some blanket over the important things that you don't want to burn up, and you can weld it in place. I use it a lot on building bumpers, because you always get to that point in the project where you got to actually put it on the truck and start fitting and massaging everything together. And if you've ever welded next to somebody else's vehicle that's paying you to mess with it, you know that you can't be burning their shit up. So fire blanket, you just throw it over the headlights, throw it over the hood, the grill, covers everything. Keeps you from burning anything up and having to fix, somebody else's project or whatever. Also got the clamp back here. Tighten this up. I'm going to get another clamp up here on the front, down towards the bottom, and start tacking this guy. Checking square, tacking, checking square, tacking, checking square. You get the idea. Until I got enough tacks all the way around to hold it in place while I weld it out, and then I'll lay it out and weld it. Didn't miss anything. Yep. Story time? Oh shit, I gotta go do story time real quick. I'm gonna call that a wrap here on day 8 in the shop. We made some good progress. Got some more cracked off on the gantry. Still gotta see how that V-rail mounts on there, and I hope it works out and I can make all those bolts. We got the gantry all welded out and started painting. Probably gonna put a couple more coats on this tonight before I head inside, but no need for you guys to hang out here for all that. Thanks so far. People have already been watching the build threads. They've already been subscribing, liking, commenting. It's been really cool. I really wasn't expecting all this much so quickly. So I really appreciate you guys watching my videos and subscribing. And I think there's one down here in this corner now to subscribe and watch my other videos and just keep following along, because I got a lot more cool stuff that I want to show you guys. All right, see you next time.